And, Coach Moore, he harps on the urgency of the Big Ten and, how we have to go out and perform each week. So from that standpoint, that's getting me excited and, ready to go.
All right, there, Michigan center, Olu Oluwatimi. And he's ready to go. And he's excited. I'm ready to go, and I'm excited. It's Thursday. Jim Scarcelli, the former Wolverine, joins us for a packed show as we now sit here, Scar, 1 minute past 1 o'clock on Thursday. What does that mean? That we're 47 hours until kickoff for the Big Ten season for Michigan. That should put a little that put a little bounce in your step, huh?
Yeah, Thursdays are light practices, so all the work has been in. They're just going to, just go through some things real quick. Olu is the real deal, Denny. He is as advertised. And, we're fired up. We got a good quarterback, good offense coming in. Our defense will be challenged, and we're going to break it down.
Speaking of that, what we are talking about specifically, we'll have Scarcelli, Coach Scar, look at Michigan's offense and defense and what he's thinking about each side of the ball. The rest of the Big Ten East has been performing pretty well, except Michigan State. We will look at where they've gone and where they're going. It is almost time to put some kind of, moniker on Scar's pick of the week. It's been so good. I'm waiting, I don't want to get too excited about that, but the way Scar's been selected, he is perfect so far, and he's been throwing in additional picks, and they've been perfect so far. So it's been amazing. It's another week of the Telestrator that is developing and getting better each week. That has us pretty fired up. But let's start talking about Michigan and Maryland. Just your general thoughts as we get ready. You mentioned Thursday being light for the team, but you start thinking about we're on the eve of it being the eve of kickoff. Like I said, 47 hours away, however you want to look at it, 2 days. And the weather has changed. We're into fall, and you're ready to go, man. Take it a couple minutes at a time, but man, Saturday is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be a great challenge, a better challenge, or that juice. They know you can't fool your team sometimes. As a coach, you try to say, oh yeah, Hawaii and UConn, but they see the film. Your players see the film. You just can't fool them, as much as you try to tell them. But they know what kind of athlete. They can see, Leah, the quarterback. They see what kind of athlete he is. Dan Enos, the former Michigan State quarterback. Guy I know, he was in our school many times recruiting. He is the offensive coordinator. Him and Loxley worked together in Alabama. He was the former Central Michigan coach. Just a little bit of information there. But so he is the offensive coordinator. But
he was always the Michigan coach for a minute, or I think he actually was for a minute, but I don't think he ever coached in a game.
That's right. Jim had him hired for a minute, and I don't know what happened, and that didn't work out. But Maryland is that, you start with the quarterback. You talk about Maryland, you got to start with the quarterback because he is, the kid's he's an athletic kid. You can see why Nick Saban recruited him. He was a highly recruited kid. He's like JJ, athletically, you got to contain him. They run a lot of our stuff. Some of their best stuff we are running now with the JJ offense, the RPO stuff, the quarterback keep. And you're going to see one of their best plays. I'm going to break it down, but so you start with the quarterback. We got to contain him. We got to keep him moving. If he does step up, we got to keep him moving, running, throwing on the run. But it all starts with him. If we were to compare, I know you guys were talking about it, compare our quarterback and their quarterback, I'd rather defend their guy because he doesn't have the offense that the Michigan offense had. We got the tight ends, and we've got a better running game and better linemen. But you start with them. I think their defense is, again, I just think it's average. I don't think he hasn't recruited the kind of players that I think he's done on offense. But, in fact, Jim's talk on Monday, he was asked about Maryland, and he went on and on about their offense and their quarterback, but he didn't even talk about their defense. He's probably seeing it the same way I am, that I think that defense, we should have success. We should be able to do what we want to do against them. But I think against this team, Denny, we're going to see a lot of packages where we take a defensive tackle out of the game because of the speed of Leah, and maybe put another edge player in the game. We've done a lot of that package where we'll have just to get more speed on our front. Once we do start to get their run game shut down, but I think we're going to see some of that package more. But I feel good about this game. Our offense should be at 35 points, at least 38 points, and we hold them to 20. We should be in right about where the point spread is.
Yeah, I know Trevor McHugh from the Maize and Blue Review. He likes to call that the NASCAR package when you're putting another defensive end out there or an edge guy and lining them up. It makes sense. Michigan bringing some more speed. We always take your feedback if you want to leave something in there. Travis saying something. I haven't seen this or heard it myself, but we're going to take Travis's word for it. I usually don't like doing that, but in this case, we're just going to go ahead and say that's exactly what Joel Klatt says. Travis says Joel Klatt said, watch out for Maryland. It is an upset watch. So Michigan potentially being on upset alert. I would say that when you have a quarterback like Talia Tagovailoa, and you just have the offense overall that Maryland brings into the game, I can understand how somebody could say, no, Michigan hadn't really played anybody. Here comes Talia. He'll pull an upset or two before he's done. This could be the one. Watch out for the Terps coming up on Saturday. But as I've watched Michigan through the first 3 games here, I'm looking forward to seeing how their edge rushers perform and how much pressure they're able to put on Talia. I'm excited to see how the linebackers, if they're going to be able to tackle Tagovailoa. I want to see how these defensive backs right across the entire last line of the defense, how they perform. I like the corners. I like the safeties. I think they're up for the challenge. If I was a Michigan fan watching this, I'd be excited and looking forward to the game. I wouldn't, if you want to get nervous, go ahead, but I wouldn't be that nervous about it. And the one thing you said, thinking about last year's game, Michigan was up 24-3 at the half, and they came out and scored in the third quarter. But then here came Maryland. They scored. What did Michigan do? They ran the kickback. Maryland came back, and, they showed a little life on offense. They went down the field, scored again. What did Michigan do? Boom! Big-time play to Donovan Edwards. They just kept pouring it on. And, a lot of times you hear that, a best offense could be your defense. I think in this case, in this game, looking at Maryland, Michigan's best defense against Maryland could also be their offense, where they just come out and say, all right, you're going to score. We're just going to keep putting our foot to the gas here as well. And we're going to put up a lot of points. So, as you take a look at this, sure, strength on strength, offenses, out there. But, Michigan might have and I think they do have a better offense than Maryland.
Yeah, I agree. From a total package, run game, tight ends, a bit more problems, hey, this Maryland team, Joe Klatt says, hey, they are a team that quarterback, I've seen him play outstanding. And they are a true speed and space offense. They stretch the whole field, the whole width of it. And they got the quarterback that can run and stretch the width of it, but our defense sees it. We've got that whole package in. So our guys know what they do, their best stuff. We see it, we know it. I think we're going to see a smaller rotation, Denny, and on both sides of the ball. Less of the young tight ends are probably going to play early. On defense, I think you're going to see maybe only 4 interior D linemen, and they're going to probably only see maybe 4 edge guys. Or they're going to shorten that rotation in all ways. I think once we get into we'll see Saturday a shorter rotation. So, but I like our chances, and but yeah, Leah, we got to get him under control, and then we got to slow him down in the red zone, because that's the weakness of that type of an offense. When you get inside the 20-yard line, yeah, the speed and space, all that, but you get them down in there, and now they got to try to move people. They got to have a run game down there.
What do you think about Lyle asking about if Michigan's going to go to dime packages most of the game, considering that you think about Maryland wanting to throw the ball? They got a pretty good running back in this Roman Hamby. I watched him against SMU. He's got some speed. He looks pretty good. They got down to the goal line. They brought a fullback in. Maryland did against SMU. So they've got some different rotations they'll do with their running game. But what about, you get Sandra still? What about even going to a dime package for most of the game?
Yeah, we've shown a lot of that, and I have a clip I'm going to break down where we get 6 DBs in a game, and we've shown it. We got to get 3rd and 8. We got to get, we got to be good on first downs, and to get the dime package, you don't really start out in that. But this Minter is all over the place. That's what I like about him. We don't know what he's going to do. He's totally hard to figure out down in distance. I've seen him rush 3 on 3rd and 8. I've seen him rush 6 on 3rd and 8. So that's why he's a good defensive coach.
All right, let's turn our attention specifically to Michigan on each side of the ball, and we'll start with the offense. Scar, you've watched Michigan through 3 games. What do you think of their offense from what you've seen so far?
No, we've done a lot of really good things. We've played a lot of people. We've shown we can run the ball. We've shown we can throw the ball. We've developed depth. With 3 games, we got accomplished what we wanted to get accomplished. The big question I have right now, though, Denny, is who is our backup quarterback? Who's our backup quarterback? If something happens and this is a close game, let's say we're in the 4th quarter and it's a field goal game, who knows who's Jim going to put in the game? And is it the Bowman kid? He doesn't have the legs, but he's played a lot more game. He's got game reps. He's played game repetition. Is it Orgy or is it Davis Warren? Davis Warren gives you legs. He looks like he can throw the ball. Orgy's shown the legs, and he threw a nice pass last week. But I don't know what Jim's going to do. So that's an interesting question. The running back situation. I'll be honest with you, Denny. And as I look at the first 3 games, I thought I'd see some explosive runs from Donovan Edwards. I just thought I'd see him, once he gets by the linebackers, I thought we'd see some of that. Maybe it's to come. Maybe he had a little dinger, a little injury. But I like the Gash kid in short yardage. And I looked at it. He only weighs 175 pounds. He looks like a much bigger kid the way he ran the football. As far as our offensive line, I think it's every bit as advertised. The center is every bit after 3 games watching him, and all our other returning guys have played really good football. And then Jones at right tackle, I think he's at times had a little issue with pass protection, but he's doing a good job with the run game. I think our tight ends, the 3 returners are playing really, really well, like we expected. And I'm encouraged that I see a lot of the young guys that got a lot of reps, and they look like they're good football players. It's just one thing to get these young guys in, but I'm seeing big, tough kids that can block and catch. So I like what I've seen at the tight end and at this point. The receivers now, we see a lot of blocking. We haven't seen a lot of guys catch a lot of balls. Danny, a lot of different receivers. Andrel Anthony hasn't been used much, and there's maybe some drama there. I don't know, but those are just some of my thoughts offensively, Danny, if you want to jump on some of that.
Yeah, I think with Donovan Edwards, of course, he's banged up. We don't know about his status, so it's questionable or between questionable and probable coming up for Saturday. We know he missed last game. He got hurt in that Hawaii game, but I think that heading into this season, that Donovan Edwards, whether it was in spring ball or whether it was in summer or it was in fall camp, knowing that Michigan needed to replace Hassan Haskins and be that short yardage guy, and a lot of Michigan fans were like, who's going to run the ball in the middle? Because Edwards has shown that, man, he can go out and catch a pass one-handed against Ohio State, against Maryland last year. Guy had 10 catches at 170 yards. We know what he could do on the outside, get him in space. What we didn't know is if he was tough, big enough, and was able to run the ball between the tackles. And the majority of Donovan Edwards' touches in those first 2 games came right up the middle. They handed it off in short yard situations. I think he rose his hand, put his hand up and said, give me the ball between the tackles. I'm going to show everyone that I can run and get those tough yards. We'll see if that continues once they get in here to Big Ten play. But that's what I was thinking. Let me ask you about Andrel Anthony, because you get these kind of stories. You get a player like Anthony all off season. We're asking people, hey, who's Michigan's wide receiver 1? Who's their X? Who's their most explosive player? Who's their their most NFL ready guy, all those kind of things. Who's going to get drafted the highest? And a lot of those people were coming back and saying, Andrel Anthony. Well, he gets one target through 5 games. And there is, let's say there's at least been some talk out there, not from him, that he is not happy, that it could come from somebody in his family, that, that they were out there saying that, that they don't like how Anthony, and they may have slid it to even a reporter to put it out there. Now, Scar, I want to ask you about this because there's the thought about, hey, squeaky wheel gets the grease. Let's go. He's a wide receiver. Let's go over there and, start talking about let's get him some more touches or getting him some more love. I would say this to anybody, like, I get what fans have to say, and I get family members, they're wanting their son to get, every target and get all the touchdowns and everything else, but it's not helping anybody through 3 games going through the media. And the counterproductive part is, I don't think Andrel Anthony has said anything. He may be the best teammate. He may be, completely focused in on nothing but team. And yet when you get something like this that comes out of the media, people are like, wow, he's going to transfer. Good riddance. If he can't do anything in practice, all these different things that go on, and you might have good intentions if you're somebody that's a parent, but you need to keep your mouth shut and let the coaches go out there. And 1 touchdown Saturday is better than 3 touchdowns during the non-conference, I would tell anybody, for Andrel Anthony. And the other thing is that you get a situation where then people are saying things about your kid, and the kid may have not done anything. That doesn't help them. And I do know that further down the line, I sit next to a lot of scouts in the press box, and once in a while I do talk with them. Those scouts, because a lot of times I say, why don't you just sit home? Like, guy will be out here from the 49ers. I'll say, you've come a long way to just watch one guy. And he says, we like to watch even more than the game. We like to watch what a player's doing before the camera's on. We like to see them when they're working out in practice and going through the drills. Who are they talking to? How are they working with their teammates? What are they doing on the sideline? All of those kind of things are noted and watched as soon as those guys come through the tunnel. So a player being disgruntled, if he should go to his position coach, Ron Bellamy. He should go to his offensive coordinator, Matt Weiss. He should go to his head coach, Jim Harbaugh. He should go to his quarterback and his classmate, J.J. McCarthy, if he wanted to get some more love. Don't have your old man out there, running his mouth. If that was the case, and I don't even know, I don't need to disparage Anthony's dad, because that might not be the case. My point is, and I know I'm going on here, is that it doesn't do any good if you're a parent of a kid and you're out there talking to the media and, trying to get your son more playing time, or in this case, more touches.
Yeah, I've had many of those conversations as a coach, with moms and dads and uncles and grandpas, and not enough touches. And I've had many of those conversations, and you're absolutely right. Bellamy and Weiss and Moore and Coach Harbs, they got to, okay, where's this coming from? Is it coming from the kid? Is the kid's attitude solid and sound, and he's a team guy, and it's coming from people he can't control? That we don't know where that's coming from. But as far as why, maybe the teams we played, we wanted to work more bubble screen. Anthony doesn't appear to be the bubble screen guy. It looks like they like maybe the Roman Wilson, maybe, I don't know. And Anthony's the bigger, tall kid that, we want to run on different routes. I don't know how they were defending us. I don't know what the quarterback's seeing, but, I just know that those situations come up. I don't think Jim is going to let anybody in the media influence anything he does, period. So mama, you, me talking, he's not listening. He answers to his coaches and his players. And Anthony's got to hang in there. He's a great player. And I hope that he gets some touches this week. And I hope that we are looking and evaluating this Maryland game the same way we broke down these other ones offensively. We hang 42, 49 on them. And that's what I'm hoping for. But his height is the thing for him. And his athletic, we've seen it at Michigan State last year. We know he's capable. So just hang in there, Andrel. You're going to get your chance.
Yeah, dude almost had 3 touchdowns against Michigan State. Certainly he did have 2 in the first half, and the third one was just out of the outstretched hand. So he's an awesome player. And, one big gainer, one touchdown this Saturday and all that stuff is in the rearview mirror. When you have a real popular team and you got a lot of talent, you're looking for things to talk about. Heck, this week, you've complimented the offensive line. People are starting to look at the Pro Football Focus grades, looking at Michigan giving up 5 sacks in 3 games, saying this offensive line is not the same offensive line, the Joe Moore offensive line from last year. And you can look at some of, whether it's advanced stats, Pro Football Focus, you can make a little bit of a case. Yards after contact, you could say maybe these aren't the same backs, this is the same offensive line, but I don't know. The same thing with the pressure from, they had the 7 sacks in the first game. Everybody's like, oh, they're good to go. But not so much in the last 2 games. And people are wondering, well, can I get pressure with 4 guys? All things that, are interesting, at least to ponder. But I'm not ready on either side of those points to be like, yeah, this offensive line I don't really think is all that. Same thing. I'm more encouraged about the rush edge from what I've seen in 3 games than worried about them not being able to get pressure. What about you?
Yeah, I really been focusing on that position. There's some pretty good players, and I tell you, in my evaluation after 3 games, if I got to pick 2 to start the game with, I'm going with McGregor and I'm going with Harrell. Those are the 2 guys, in my opinion, and it's really fun. It's slim. The margin is slim from what I've seen in these 3 games. But McGregor and sometimes you just need those game reps, man. You just need the game reps to get the confidence. He has really shown he can rush the quarterback, and he's played the run. He played it real well last Saturday. And Harrell is showing he can rush the quarterback pretty good, and he always has been good against the run. But Morris and Upshaw and Anoma, those guys are all in their battle. They're real close, in my opinion. But I think we have good depth there. We got 5 there that can play, and I would imagine that's probably going to be our rotation if they do go with 5 there. Because I said you're going to see shorter rotations now, and I think it's pretty solidified that Graham and Denny are probably the 2 inside guys that are going to be the first ones in when Mozzie and Jenkins comes out, because that rotation is, again, it's going to be short. Graham is I know why they like him, because they can trust him that he plays the double team well. He never stands up. The kid plays with great technique. And Benny's got the athleticism they can run stunts with him more so than they can with Graham. Benny's got the wheels. They can play the tackle on the end under and have him contain. But I think that's the rotation there. And as far as linebackers, we know Junior's a solid guy in there. Hill, Green, Barrett, and Mullings. I think that's going to be your short rotation there. And there's 4 that they'll zero in on. And I feel good about all 4 of them. Secondary, we've seen a lot of guys, but Jim mentioned that we had 14 tackle for losses by 3 different we had 14 tackle for losses by different players. They were all different players and 18 as a defense. So that means there's 14 different. For an offense to see that, Denny, that means they're bringing corners, they're bringing safeties, they're bringing linebackers, you got edge guys that are getting pressure, you got deep, defensive interior linemen. So those are the kind of things that help your pass rush. We're not just going to line up with 4 guys and rush. I don't know that we got guys that are good enough to do that. You got to put the offense in conflict with the safety blitzes, the linebacker blitzes, and we've been showing it. And whatever we got to do to get pressure, we're going to do it. And I like what Minter's been doing so far.
Yeah, I've seen Mike Sanders still looks pretty good on blitzing, being up there at the slot and then, coming free and getting tackles. Rod Moore's been in the backfield a little bit more. I want to point out Taylor Upshaw had this. I just had a towel here. So he'd had a club on his right hand in one of those games. It might have been the last one. I think it was Hawaii. I didn't notice if it came off for the last game, but that's a little bit more difficult when you're in there trying to battle and trying to get in there. So, that could be something with him.
Yeah, that's tough, because you got, that's the advantage you have on defense, man. You can use your hands, and that really, really makes it tough. Pass rushing, coming off blocks, that's a real tough deal, to not be able to have one of your hands available to you. So that's a bad deal.
Here's a question for Jim from Antoine, who says, for one, when you pass more, it gives the team more opportunities to suck you more in, I guess, and it makes the game longer. Not to mention we ran the hell out of the ball, so it doesn't give you many opportunities. What do you think of what Antoine had to say?
Yeah, we talked last year. We had kind of the same deal. The early in the year, everybody, Michigan, they can't throw. They won't be able to throw. They're just running. Well, all those game reps early in the year where we were grinding, it paid off later in the year. You're building confidence with the run game. And maybe that was the flaw, because we could have did whatever we wanted against Hawaii and UConn and these guys. But yeah, Antoine knows we got to have both, and we're working on both. And but they want to have that. You're building that confidence by having great game reps by running the football, and it'll again. Hopefully it'll be a repeat like last year. It'll pay off again.
Yeah, and Scar, a lot more about the offensive line than everybody watching us probably put together. When I go back and look at the sacks.
Hey, Danny, I got to stop you right there, because I got a lot of my buddies I played with that played offensive line. They forgot a lot of offensive line, forgot more offensive. I'm just have to throw that in there, because there's some guys I know that watch and listen that are former offensive linemen that I talk to try to learn football from.
There's just side about it. If I sit here for all 3 games and saying, hey, everything's fine, Michigan's great. They blew these teams out. Nobody scored from the opponents. Hell, they barely got past the 50 last game. They were all shut out at the half. Michigan's playing, their second, third, fourth string. They're playing walk-ons. There's not a whole lot to get upset about or even being worried about. So you put up some numbers. You have to look. They did have some injuries from Hayes to Keegan was out there. They've had some guys. Barnhart missed some time, so they were shuffling some guys around. So you can look at it. The one thing about Trente Jones is that he got beat last game for a sack. There's no doubt about that. But I've also watched him for his size and what he's doing in the run game, whether he's pulling or whether he's downfield, like smashing guys. I don't know if there's a better athlete on that offensive line than Jones. And, I think that, I don't know if it's good that he's got beat or they've had some issues, because now if everybody was just like, this offensive line's great, they're road graders, they're an impenetrable force when it comes to pass protection, this team's the number 1 team in the country. I mean, there's going to be a couple of things that you have to look at specifically, though, when it comes down to the pass rush, because Tunga Vailoa is dangerous with his legs and he can really air it out if you just let him stand in that pocket. A nice test here for the Michigan defense, in particular, replacing Hutchinson and Ajabo to see if they really are able to disrupt a talented quarterback. So we're able to find out about that Saturday. I think you should be excited about it if you're a Michigan fan, rather than worried about it.
Yeah, we'll have a good plan defending him, and that's why you want interior D linemen that can move too, and all the stunts. The stunts are good against this running quarterback. So he doesn't have if he is stepping up in the pocket, it's not always a clear gap because of some of the stunts we're doing. So we'll have a good plan, and I'm confident with it.
Yeah, Robert says the offensive line hasn't dominated Hope, but it's just needing to gel and get the starters back. Well, if you take a look at their yards before contact, it's down a full half yard than it was a year ago, if you're pointing to that in the run game. And we've mentioned the different sacks. So I hear where you're at with that. If they hadn't given up any sacks or pressures, we'd just be sitting around and talking about, anything, because those opponents really sucked. And so, I mean, that's part of when you play 3 walkovers, is that anything that happens that's bad gets magnified, and anything that happens is good. And you can say, unless they shut out all 3 teams, there were no sacks, and there were all of the numbers that you looked at were better than last year. And you could say, we have absolutely nothing to complain about. I've never seen a team that's been like that. But all of those things, I think these are minor things to take a look at, and all of them can go right out the window with pressure on Saturday and an offensive line that comes out there and protects its quarterback, and an offensive side that runs the ball well. All of those things go out the window.
Yeah, I like our overall offensive identity, philosophy. You know, we can attack so many points of attack. We got athletic tackles that can pull. We're not one-handed. We're not left-handed, right-handed. We don't just run at Hayes. We don't just run at Jones. We can throw it all over the place, and that's what I've really seen from our offense. Is it's very versatile. We can hit you at a lot of different ways, and we'll get some of that pass protection again. This is only his third. That was his third game as a starter at Michigan, and I think back at my first start, every start he's going to keep getting better. But by game 4 and 5, Jones would be a much better player.
Good stuff. So you've talked about Michigan, Maryland, the offensive side, the defensive side. Anything on those three that we didn't touch?
No, I think we're good there, Denny. I didn't say I was going to, but I think our special teams is, again, Jay Harbaugh is proving he's the best. He's the best special team coach in the Big Ten. We're going to break down a couple plays here in a minute, but I think our special teams are sound and good and smart. Our kicker, our kickoff, our long snapper, and that stuff is huge, man. And it's just shown nothing that we are ready. We're up and ready to roll to start Big Ten play in all three phases, as far as I'm concerned.
Was it smart to try a 62-yard field goal at the end, and it ended up being 3 yards short, so then they could go for a kick 6 there and potentially get back into the game? Go through the whole process there. No big deal. Smart. Bad idea. Could hurt you in a big game. What did you think about that?
There's a lot of things you can coach up there. It's like, okay, maybe obviously he's seen him do that in practice. He wouldn't try it if he didn't think the kid has done it and shown it in practice. Maybe he's only, 25% from there, but he's probably done it. But, what's good about that, though, is, yes, it was short. The kick was short. And you know what? That kick team got work covering a darn kick. You know what I mean? You look at the Alabama-Auburn, right? Picks. What would they call that game? What do they call that?
Kick 6.
Where he kicked it, the kid ran it back. I mean, you got these 350-pound offensive linemen on your extra point protection, on your kick protection. I mean, that's a dangerous situation to kick the ball because you don't have athletes on the field that can tackle there. You might have a couple tight ends and you're hoping for your holder or kicker to make a tackle when you got all these 350-pound offensive linemen. But I don't have a problem with it. And again, they got to work on it. Some of these things that you don't always get a chance to work on in a game situation. So I don't have a problem with that.
I was reaching there. I was just reaching just to see if.
But my answer was like, from a coaching standpoint, is that, yeah, I got my kick team. They got a chance to work on covering a kick that we might have to do in a big game. So.
Yeah, and you can go out there and practice when there's not a rush on you, and you can be kicking them from 60-plus all the time, and you might be able to do that in practice. It's a different story when you got 110,000 and you got a guy coming off the edge trying to block it. And for me, if I see Michigan get in a late game situation, we know this happened with the Broncos and Seahawks. Their coach thought that their guy could kick a I don't know, was it a 65-yarder? But I would feel pretty good since it was 3 yards short. It was 60. Like if it was, anywhere from 56, 57 yards, because it was right on. It wasn't like it was way off to the right or anything. I would feel good with Moody if I was a Michigan fan, feeling like, you know what, he's good from 55. That's at least a little bit of knowledge to, if you're a fan, to feel like, you got a kicker that might be able to, make one from 50 plus. That's no small feat. So,
Danny, also as coaches, we're psychologists. Jim was telling his kicker, I got faith in you, man. You can make a 62-yarder. I know you can do it. We get into a big game again. We might ask you to do it.
Adrian agrees with you. All right, let's get to the rest of the Big Ten. Pretty interesting Big Ten East. The games coming up this Saturday, and a bunch of them at 3:30. Michigan State's taking on Minnesota. Indiana is down at Cincinnati, and Iowa's at Rutgers. Those are Michigan's next two opponents, both of them on the road in the Big Ten. So you have Wisconsin at Ohio State later at night. But what have you seen so far from the Big Ten East that you want to talk about?
Well, let's start with the Buckeyes. Again, it gets to that unique defense. They do some things that people don't do a lot of. We don't see a lot of all the linebacker blitzes and things that they're doing. I'm really hoping that we worked a lot of that during spring football and fall camp. I hope that our offensive linemen got a lot of work against the things that they do, because our coaches would have known what they did. I got to believe we did. I don't know that Ohio State's offense as a whole is as good, because I don't know that I've seen the explosive receivers, but everything else is the same. We're going to get some answers about that defense against that Wisconsin offense, because that Wisconsin offense is going to be that's the matchup that the Ohio State defense does not want to see. But we'll see if I'm wrong. But let's see how Wisconsin moves the ball against that defense. That's what I'm looking for. Penn State, Auburn. Penn State just out-recruited them. Auburn didn't have the talent like Penn State. In my opinion, Penn State showed they got players, man. Franklin has recruited good players. They outplayed them, better players, and they're gonna have every bit as much talent as us. That's going to be a battle like it always is, because Penn State has players. Indiana is a beatable team. They don't look as good on defense. I think athletically, I think he's a great coach on defense. As I look at him, I just don't know that I see the athletes that he normally gets on defense. Pretty good offense, but that's a winnable game. Michigan State, I'm sorry, but going 4 hours to play a good Washington team with really good players and a quarterback that's really good, a kid that was at Indiana that beat a lot of teams with that quarterback. I played in that stadium at Washington. It's loud. It's a long, rotten flight, and they didn't play great. They lost the game, but I still think Michigan State's a good team. And I just think they're good. They got a lot of good. They had their big receiver was out. Reed was out, and they got good athletes. They got good skill players. 2 good running backs. They're going to defend a run against Minnesota. They're going to. And Denny, you want me to go pick of the week? Because I'm talking about Michigan State. Michigan State's my pick of the week. Getting 3 points at home? Are you kidding me? We don't know what Minnesota has. Minnesota wants to run the football. Michigan State's defense is designed. They focus on stopping the run. Washington beat them through the air because they're so focused on stopping the run and with a good quarterback. But Michigan State at home on grass. Minnesota doesn't play on grass. Those little things matter. I think 3 points is a gift. I think that line is wrong. I think it should be 3 the other way. I'd rather take 3 Michigan State at home than Michigan State getting 3 flying 4 hours playing out there in Washington. So that's my pick. And Rutgers is another game I like. We still don't. I don't know what they're doing with the quarterback. The kid that played last year, I don't think we've seen him. I'm going to get a better a look at them against Iowa. Iowa will play good defense, but they're not really moving the ball. I really like Rutgers with the 7.5, and we'll get. I want to look at Rutgers' offense and just see what they're doing with the quarterback situation. But every one of those games are winnable. They're all winnable for Michigan. We play our game. We play smart. We secure the football. They're all winnable.
All right, Michigan State. And right now, every pick that Jim has made has come through all the way back to week 0. So he is on quite a run right now, and he is picking Wisconsin. I'm sorry, I just put Wisconsin up on the screen. People were talking about him. Picking Michigan State. Take the 2.5, or if you like me, just bet them on the money line if you think the Spartans are going to win.
Antoine, I'm with you, brother. I want to see this Ohio State spread. I want to see if they're going to have have what it takes to man up against 3 tight ends and what Wisconsin wants to do. Yeah, I'm definitely looking at that.
Good stuff. All right, so we've had our pick of the week. So now, how about we get to the Telestrator, look back at last week and some of the things that Michigan is doing that you may not pick up on as a fan, and you got the coach here with a Telestrator who's got a few different plays that he can talk about.
See, Denny, when we are successful running our favorite play, the power, okay, when we are successful running power, okay, then you run plays that look like power. Okay, this looks like power, and we're throwing bubble away from it. Okay. So could you imagine if you're this linebacker right here and JJ's got the ball in the gut of the back right now? What are you doing? And look at these guys flying out of here trying to defend power. They're flying out. They think it's power because this is our favorite play. We pull these guys.
Flowing with the polars.
Right? They're flying out of there because this is our favorite play. But guess what? We're pulling it out. We're pulling it out, and we're throwing bubble screen out here. And this is, maybe they want to get Roman. They know he's better in space. They know that he's a little better in space maybe than Anthony. I don't know. But this is Maryland will run this play. Okay, Maryland will run this play. Looks like power. Okay, and they make you play in space, and we executed it well. But again, this is the kind of play that puts a defense in conflict. When you have success throwing your fastball, the curveball has more success. You got it, Denny?
Well, the other thing that I'm just thinking about while you're showing that play there is that there's not a lot of wasted motion there from J.J. McCarthy. He gets that ball, and I know you're using the baseball analogy, but he's got a really nice fastball. He gets that ball on the fake, and that ball is out. He's got a quick release, and it's out there in the flat. If you got a quarterback that can't really zing it out there that fast, that's not a play for you, but that's something that McCarthy can really do well. He gets that ball out quick, and he really can get it out there and put it on the receiver.
And here's another guy that I didn't think about, but you're putting him in limbo. This guy's going to be slow to react. He knows that Michigan runs bubble screen too, but he's not flying here, but he's not flying over here either. So they got him in limbo because we have success running this play. But yeah, JJ does a great job. He's riding that fake a little bit, and then he throws a dime. He's got him in stride. Everything's good blocking up here, real good blocking up here. Look at Kojo running downfield. You're not playing for Michigan as a receiver if you don't block. Well run, great job by all involved. We got two tight ends here. I'm calling this power away from strength of formation. Power away. We're going to run power up here. Defense using wrong arm. Danny, I want to explain this technique because this is what some teams will do. They're going to try to bounce this play. And some people call it wrong arm or bouncing. I've heard in Michigan, we called it wrong arm, and I use the term bounce as a coach. But we're going to run power here away from our strength. Let's take a look. This kid here is going to try to wrong arm it and make the play bounce. Okay, so right now, he's going to take Olu on, and he wants to make sure that he doesn't get knocked out of here. He wants to bounce it out to this guy. Okay, and then Shuney is reading this block. So he's reading that. He's saying this guy's coming underneath. What this kid would like to do, the way I was coached as a player, and the way I tried to coach it, is you want to try to get penetration here, working through him so that Shuney has to bubble. But he doesn't accomplish that because Ulu's so tough and has good technique. He's not allowing this kid to get any kind of pace penetration to bubble Shuney here. So Shuney's able to hit it right downhill, right off the ass of this. And let's keep it running. So he doesn't have to bubble at all. And now this linebacker has to make a decision. There's now two gaps here. There's a gap out here and there's a gap in here. The way I was coached was he wanted me to come here and here and almost nose this thing up with outside control, kind of a 51%. I'm responsible 51% here, 49% here, if that makes any sense. My coach was basically saying, you can't let the ball get outside, but I want you to try to help inside. Okay, so this guy is choosing to bounce it now also. So now there's nothing here. I don't understand this defense. I don't understand this at all. If they're expecting this guy now to come up, that's just a poor scheme. I don't get it. And it's a good long run for us. And that's how you block. That's how you block the bounce technique, the wrong arm technique. Ulu gets it done. Shuney gets it done. And now we're off to the races. We get a good block here. And see, as an offensive lineman, these are the things that matter a lot too. People look at pass protection, some of these things. You got to have the athletic ability to do what Ulu's doing here. To execute that play. But that is a beautifully run play because he doesn't know what block he's going to get. Denny, some people will try to squeeze it on Ulu. He has to read it. He has to be an athlete, athletic enough to read that thing. Okay, let's go to the next.
A little dab for Andrel Anthony, who was downfield there and had a nice block at the 5-yard line. His guy ended up not touching Blake Corum at all. So I don't know if he gets a sticker on that, but nice job.
All right, Danny, here's a pressure. We're going to bring some pressure down here. And what I really like about this, I think a lot of this was coaching and scouting. Minter has shown me that he, when a guy continually guesses right about blitzes and formations and personnel, I've seen him guess right often. That tells me it isn't just 50-50 flipping the coin. I'm just going to bring pressure, because he's doing it at the right time. He sees something here in this empty formation. He's going to bring pressure. Let's take a look at the play, and then we'll break it down a little more. But they're going to go in motion and empty. It's still empty, but he sees something, by that formation, by that personnel grouping, that he called this. He called this stunt. And what I like about the Michigan defense is I like how quick these guys are reacting to recognize that it's a bubble, it's a run, and how fast we attack the line of scrimmage. And that's some of the things I'm really seeing, Clinksdale and Jay Harbaugh. But again, I'm seeing this corner pressure here. That's scouting. Somebody saw something. He guessed right. You watch this corner come out of nowhere. That was a blitz. That was a stunt. And, those are things that I like to see as a coach, that, our guy is smart. Our players are recognizing. Any thoughts on that play, Denny?
Yeah, I'd point out that was Jymon Green, who was the corner that got in there and had the tackle, and Junior Colson that came from his linebacker position and was able to put the heat on and get involved in that TFL as well. Both of them, man, you can see the speed.
Yeah, I just think our coaches do a great job of teaching our secondary to, you start out, you play run, you react to pass, but we read it and react quickly. And here's 10:39 in the first quarter. We're up 7-0, and I'm calling this RPO away from power. We're gonna let's run the play. So we're gonna run the RPO away from the power, and this is the play JJ. One of the only errors the kid's made all year. But again, this kid here, and I was talking about this earlier in the year, that when people will try to do things with this kid to put the quarterback in conflict. Is he going to try to hang around here to make him think that he could make a play on the dive back, or that he can come off on the quarterback? So this kid is athletic enough, and he does a pretty good job kind of messing with JJ's read. And like right now, JJ's looking at him. He's reading it. He's got the ball in his gut. The ball in his gut, but this kid got a lot of penetration, and I that might have been what made it difficult for JJ to read this thing. Normally, if he sits at the line of scrimmage, that's an easier read, but he got penetration, and guess what? JJ may have made a mistake. He's allowed to have one, but the kid makes a good play, and he's athletic enough to come off on it. And I don't think we're going to see that too many guys that can do that to our quarterback. Any thoughts on that, Denny?
Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts. Is the offensive line, did they miss an assignment? Were they supposed to?
No, he's not blocked. We don't block him.
So that's not on the offensive line.
It's not on anybody. It's just he's not blocked. He is not blocked. We are reading him.
So he played it the right way. You want to get up a couple yards upfield.
Yeah,
Denny, hit the running back if he gives it. Then you can still chase the QB.
Defenses are going to try to put this read in conflict. Okay, this play looks like power. It looks like power over here. We're pulling. We're going to kick out. He's going to lead through. And you can even see the defense. What's the defense? Defense playing it. Defense is playing it. These guys are both flying out of there. All three of these guys are playing power, because this looks like power. But this kid, we don't block him. We figure the quarterback in the scheme. Okay, we'll make the right decision. If he gives him the ball, he probably should have been a give here. But this kid, again, defenses are going to do things that with this position, they're going to bring linebackers over. Some people might, they're going to play games, and our guys have to figure it out. So anyway, this kid made a play. They're going to coach it up. They keep repping it. It's just like anything else in football, man. Repetition. All right, this is I love this is a punt return for a touchdown, and this is why I like this is pressure and return. We're kind of bringing some pressure, but we're also have a return on. Okay, when you are a punt return team, your return it also has the ability to bring pressure, and you've shown that you bring pressure. These guys are going to honor. This punt protection team is going to honor and step out to honor punt block. Okay, so they're going to honor it. Now, this jam and dog technique, Denny, is a technique that we teach where this guy is going to jam him and try to take this guy right back into the punter. Okay, I was on this team at Michigan, and this guy is going to try to do it too. It's what you try to do on returns. So he can't get into the coverage lane. Okay, that's what the jam and dog technique is. Now we rush a couple guys here, so we end up bringing a little bit of pressure. And let's just take a look at it. We're going to let it run through, but these guys are jamming, trying to hold up and run with them now. And we still have some pressure. We brought, this isn't just a straight return. We bring 1, 2, 3. We got some guys that were rushing the quarterback. Okay, and let me just start with this. I think I went back a little too far because I want to point something out. Let's go. Let's get to where because I do believe I missed one of my notes. Okay, catching punts, not easy. It's hard to do. It's one of the hardest things to do in football. I just got to cover it, and he does a great job with it. Let's move on. Let's run this through. We've seen this part. So he punted the ball, and there's going to see some great blocks in here. These guys are trying. So you see a great block right here. This guy doesn't clip. He stays in. This Michigan guy right here is assigned to this guy, but this guy is beating him by a half yard. You see that, Denny, there? So if he tries to block him, he's going to clip him. So he does the smart thing. We call it staying in phase. Just stay in phase and just try to keep running with them. And eventually he's going to have to break down and make the tackle, and that's when you can get position again. So this guy here is real smart. And this guy here does a great job of reestablishing position. He doesn't have position now because this guy beat him to the inside to where the ball is now. But let's take a look at he reestablishes position. This is Kolasar. This guy doesn't clip. He doesn't clip. I pointed him out earlier. And this guy here is going to reestablish position. So both of these Michigan players here, Kolasar, and I can't see who his name is, but this is smart. You got to do it real fast on the fly because it's happening. It's happening real fast. But this stuff is coached, and we're not clipping. Then we get a great block here. Another guy doesn't clip. Look at him. Got in his way. Smart here. Doesn't clip. You coach the heck out of that. Great effort. Great technique. Smart discipline. No clips or holds. Returner makes guys miss. Touchdown, Michigan. I'm all excited over here, Denny. I used to be on this stuff. Kick, punt team, punt return. And you gotta be athletic to be on that team. You can't have no slow guys on there.
Well, it was the play of the game, and AJ Henning is a special talent. Kick return, punt return, running back, end around. We see 40. You mentioned that he didn't clip there, but he did have his hand on him right at the. I was just checking to see who's 40 for Michigan. It's guy named Christian Boven. It looks like he could have been called for a clip there. He had his hand on him, and the guy went down. I've seen ticky tack. You can call it ticky tack if you want, but I've seen him call that before, Scar. So.
Oh, I know. But yeah, we were anyway. It was a touchdown. It wasn't called, and there was a lot of maybe some close ones. But all that little stuff is coached. All right, this is a common front for Michigan. We got an edge player here, and we've shown a lot of different stuff from here. We've shown edge players rushing, okay, and dropping noses, and we've. But in this stunt, you're going to see what I like about this stunt. We're going to bring these backers. And the safety is going to come. But this guy here does a great job of reading the block. And we're going to end up dropping these two edge players. Let's take it back. to the very beginning. Okay, this is how it's going to look. These guys, the tackles are going to end up containing. This nose guard here, if he's a playing inside defensive tackle, he's going to contain. So now you got these guys containing. We're dropping both of the edge players. We're bringing both backers, and we're bringing a safety. You know, Danny, this is one of the defenses that as a coach, sometimes you say, okay, we're up 38-0. Why are they running this stunt up 38-0? As a coach, sometimes you want to get it on film because you want to coach out the mistakes. That's one reason. The second reason is you want the offenses to have to work on it, even though you might not, because we haven't run this stunt. I don't know that we've run it all year, but there's two reasons you run it. You want to work on it, and you'd like to have the offense spend time on it, and because all these stunts make your vanilla stuff work better. But this play is executed, and I'm going to show you what this kid does. It's real smart as the play gets run.
Sandra still.
Yeah. So he's going to read the block that this back right here does on our linebacker.
I'm sorry, that's DJ Turner.
Okay, we don't get home. Okay, we don't get home, but it has to be, you have to coach this. Okay, right now this linebacker is getting blocked by this back. It's just like Kolasar's punt block. Okay, that if he comes outside, that means this guy can block too, right? He can block our linebacker and he can block our safety, but he's smart. He goes inside of the back of the block. Now he doesn't get home, but you can see that this stunt is executed properly. He has to throw it fast. But here's a good job by McGregor. Here's your big edge player, and they probably coach him to just get in front of the slant. They got him and Harrell. They're just dropping back in here, and they're trying to get them in front of the slant routes down here. And McGregor almost gets a hand on it, almost picks it off. You know, that's a 265-pound kid. You know, and this is good. This is what I like seeing out of him and Harrell. They're playing pass, and it's good. That's a great defensive scheme. It puts the offense in conflict. Well executed stuff. But that is all I got today on the Telestrator, Danny.
Yeah, good stuff. And my mistake, you know, the 5 could be a 6. That could be RJ Moat. And after I looked at it at the end, I was thinking, wow, man, they got 2 corners. They got Will Johnson, and they have DJ Turner right there. But the 5 and 6 kind of look the same, but that could have been RJ Moat in there on that blitz. We do have some people that had some feedback for you, Scar, so I want to put some of these up. And if you had a question about any of those plays or anything else, Michigan-wise, we still have a couple minutes to go, so go ahead and put your feedback up on the screen. Andre's asking, isn't that one called a counter, whatever it is?
Andres, I'll tell you the thing about football that is very frustrating. Okay, is in baseball, everybody knows what a suicide squeeze is. They know what a double play is. They know certain things, but football, different coaches have different terms for the same exact thing. You know, and that's just what it is. You know, there are some basic fundamental terminology, a 3 technique, a 1 technique, contain, you know, zone coverage, but there's a lot of different terminology that different coaches use, and it's frustrating for the listener and the viewer. You know, like Coach DiNardo, he calls what Jim Harbaugh calls the power play. Coach DiNardo calls it the gap scheme. Same exact stuff. Play's been run for over 100 years, but it's the same exact blocking philosophy, different names.
Michael asking if Michigan can keep with the 8 in the box as the talent improves. Should he have taken the one-on-one on the outside? These are back for some specific plays, but the part about Michigan being 8 in the box, are they going to be able to continue to do that?
You know, in general, I would have thought that our coaches would have treated all 3 of those games just like we would treat, you know, Michigan State. They got if they overload the box, then we have to do what we need to do, you know, and throw the football. But you know, to answer that question, yes, we have to be able to make people pay to overcommit to stopping the run. So that's what we have to do.
When you played out in Washington, you mentioned that earlier when you were picking the Michigan State Spartans as your lock of the week. Do you remember?
What was his name?
You have Warren Moon. That probably was.
No, it wasn't. It was. I think it was Pelur. We played them 2 years in a row. We went out there, and then they came here. Then they came here the following year, and we lost them both, and they were good. And I can't. I think it was Pelur was the quarterback.
Not Mark Brunell.
No, Brunell was after, but it was a loud place. We played at Washington. You remember the Wave, Denny? 1984, the Wave, Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
You know where I first seen that? Washington Stadium. That's where that stuff started. All the Michigan fans brought it back to Detroit, but they saw it at Washington Husky Stadium the year before.
I've been down. I didn't go to a game. I certainly didn't play, but I drove by the stadium when I was in Seattle, and there's no better spot for a football stadium than that. I would get caught. It must be great sitting in the stands there because you look out the ones that you get the water. You see like with the Olympia Mountains over there on one side. You look over here, you got Grenier, you got the water, you got a football game. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
I just remember we lost in a last-second score, and our kicker missed a real short field goal. And I remember over a 4-hour flight home, coming back around 3-4 in the morning with not one word said for 4 hours. No one was going to be heard speaking on that plane when Coach Schembeckler was upset.
No, not if you're missing a last-second field goal for sure.
Yeah, it was a tough flight home.
All right, Scar, great stuff. Aaron liked the breakdown. And let's see, D. Brown, it's one of his favorite Michigan shows. He gives you a salute. Give me your final word on Michigan, Maryland on Saturday.
Hey, let's get a handle on Leah, and let's secure the football and do what we've been doing. And we should be in good shape. The same stuff, man. Creative offense, creative defense, special teams. Let's play Michigan football. Let's get 4-0. Let's hope we've executed like we have in these past 3 weeks. That would be beautiful.
Yeah, 2 reminders here at the end. Don't forget, all the way through podcasts all day long, going on all week long. And don't forget, Saturday after the game, we'll be live talking about Michigan and Maryland. Jim Scarcelli will be there, and we'll talk about what we saw over the last 3 hours. So you have that, and also you've got a great deal right now going at the Maize and Blue Review because it's free until hoop season. You can get full access today. Use the promo code UMB2B, UMB2B. That's a limited time offer, Maize and Blue Review. There's no reason that you shouldn't be on there if you like Michigan and get a taste of everything that's going on all day and all night long. Scar, we will see you coming up on Saturday.
Denny, we're 4-0. Michigan State at home. I like Rutgers too, getting 7.5. Win some money. Go Blue.
All right. Take care, everybody. We will talk to you after the game on